All right, hold on. So I'm going to react to this video here. This is from CBS News. This is their summation of what happened when the United States dove into Venezuela, invaded it, and went and kidnapped essentially Nicolas Maduro.
Good evening. Great to be with you tonight. 2 days earlier than expected with that major breaking news that could shape the year, maybe even the century. After months of buildup, at 2:01 a.m. local time today in Caracas, Venezuela, U.S. Delta forces slipped into the home of dictator Nicolas Maduro. By 3:30 a.m., he and his wife were in American custody. They landed at an airport north.
Now, one thing I want to note is that at the time there were conflicting reports as to whether or not Maduro's wife was in custody. Early reports and rumors said that she fled and went to Russia. Now, I don't know if any footage has been released of Maduro's wife being on American soil, but all contemporary reports now are saying that she is on American soil in New York alongside her husband.
North of New York City just a few hours ago and will face drug and gun charges in a New York courtroom. We're going to have a live report from there in just a moment. But first, more on the raid, a mission that President Trump today compared to nothing seen since World War II. Charlie D'Agata is in West Palm Beach for us following all of it. Charlie, good evening.
Good evening to you, Tony. The Venezuelan dictator's wife now face charges here in the United States after this stunning operation that deposed a head of state and now leaves the U.S. in charge of a country with no clear leadership or no clear plan forward. Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores touched down in New York this evening after an audacious snatch and grab operation in Venezuela overnight.
Now, the chyron there says Trump, U.S. will run Venezuela for now. As far as I know, we have not taken over any operations in Venezuela. I think it would include further invasions in Venezuela. I don't think we have anyone on the ground in Venezuela militarily at the moment. Now, of course, perhaps we can strong arm the government there into doing certain things that we want, either by laying siege to them or sanctions or whatever. Or literally just through the fear that we've probably stricken into the hearts of the regime by snatching and grabbing Nicolas Maduro. So that all is a possibility. But, it's not like we've sent in our security forces and taken over their equivalent to the White House or anything like that.
In the early hours of Saturday morning, a swarm of U.S. military helicopters, special forces units known as the Night Stalkers, descended on Caracas, and explosions lit up the sky, signaling that Operation Absolute Resolve was underway.
It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice.
President Trump and his team watched the mission unfold from his Mar-a-Lago home as soldiers of the army. President Trump and
my guy, one could complain about violating the Constitution. One could complain about violating international law. I think both complaints are equally valid. But I think there are certain universal truths and certain universal laws that you just don't go against. And what we're seeing here is not a violation of international law, a constitutional law, war crimes here done by Donald Trump. What we're seeing on our screen right now is a blatant violation, a very egregious fashion crime, to the grade of felony, being committed right before our very eyes by Pete Hegseth. You absolutely do not wear essentially two sweaters on top of each other. Ridiculous. We have a man in a full suit coat and a quarter zip underneath. That is abominable. That's abominable, right? It's better to wear a hoodie, okay? Don't wear a quarter zip under a full suit. That's just ridiculous.
And his team watched the mission unfold from his Mar-a-Lago home as soldiers of the Army's elite Delta Force dropped in and breached Maduro's compound just after 2 a.m. local time.
He was trying to get into a safe place. You know what a safe place is, all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast.
Officials tell CBS News that a CIA source inside the Maduro government had tracked the dictator's movements for months.
Where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets.
Within 2.5 hours of U.S. forces touching down, Maduro and his wife were at sea. The president posting this image of a handcuffed and blindfolded Maduro aboard the USS Iwo Jima.
Wait. Is it a Nike Tech? This is literally the war between the quarter zips and the Nike Techs. That's crazy.
One of the U.S. helicopters was hit and some U.S. soldiers were injured in the raid.
On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit.
Horrible.
At least 5 strategic targets were hit, including military bases and the country's main port.
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
The president said today the U.S. will take over Venezuela without explaining how that's going to work, how long it could last, or whether U.S. troops would be needed to do it.
Now, at the time of me recording this, I don't think that we have taken over Venezuela yet by force. So I don't know if it's a hollow threat or what, but it's worth noting.
Also said the U.S. will take over the country's oil reserves.
We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country.
For which country? For America or for Venezuela?
Trump suggested that Venezuela's vice president, now interim president Delcy Rodriguez, will cooperate. But today she denounced the U.S. operation and insisted Maduro is still the head of state. Pentagon officials say this mission was months in the making. Commander...
No surrender. We are surrendering.
Actually built a replica of the Maduro compound in order to rehearse, and around 150 aircraft were involved.
Charlie, let's get back to who's in charge there now. Maduro's departure obviously raises that question, and you had President Trump today say the U.S. is going to run the country. That certainly got our attention. How does that work?
Tony, all afternoon we've been making those phone calls. What does that look like? So the president says he's going to work with this new government, this interim government. He wants to send American oil companies in there, but you have to talk about security. What does that mean in terms of U.S. troops? One thing we do know for certain, the Pentagon tells us that massive military buildup that you and I have been discussing over the past few weeks and months will remain at least off the coast of Venezuela in that region.
Charlie D'Agata for us with the breaking news today. Charlie, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Interesting. Now this has been a very fast moving story. So even by the time this video goes live, it might be outdated. None of us really knows how everything is going to unfold long term. Things can move very quickly. By the time this goes up, Venezuelan could be a state it could be an American state. So maybe not literally, but it's possible. So we'll just have to hold on. Continue following the news and see how the story develops. It's very fascinating. This is certainly the biggest story of 2026 so far.